participants of the podcast are either medical marijuana patients or in a state where it is recreationally legal. Two Fried Eggs podcast does not condone any illegal marijuana or drug use or sales.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Two Fried Eggs podcast with your boy Bosch Gaming, Dolph, and the one and only. A lot of them already know you, man. A lot of them from back in the day and old school BG crew and all that already know you. Kippa, should say Chris Brown, right? AKA Kippa. There you go, homie. What's going on, big dog? Good to see you.
Welcome to the podcast, man.
Appreciate you having me.
Hell yeah, dude. I know I joked around with you a little bit, man, before we actually started this thing, but it's the first time I actually got to see your face, man. It's nice to, I feel like, I've obviously met you and gamed with you a lot and shit like that, bro, but it's nice to meet you, homie.
Yeah, I usually put my face out there like that, but it would have been a little awkward not being able to do it here, so.
Right. Yeah, it fucking brought you out, dog. Now you ready to start streaming again with a cam and shit, huh?
Me.
Hell yeah, man. So as soon as we started seeing your stuff posted in the grow, I messaged Bosch. I was like, bro, we got to get him on the fucking podcast because I know how many questions I have. We could sit here for days and talk and then. Yep. So to have you on our podcast, dude, it's an honor. Honestly, like I appreciate that. I know you don't think that you're like some kind of expert, but I promise you're miles ahead of us, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, bro. Now we got a pro fucking gamer right here, pro gamer and a pro grower, right? So
yeah, see, I'm not like this whole setup, so I'm on the phone. So in order to show you guys the plans, I'm gonna have to like walk you over there. But I'll gladly answer any questions you got about growing. I could go on for days about it. I really love the topic. It's super interesting to me.
Yeah, it's something that definitely interests me, man. It's something I've always wanted to try to learn how to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But for one, it's always been illegal, right? So it was something like I had kids at a younger age, and so it's nothing that I've ever been able to do, but it's always been a huge interest, like something I've always like just wanted to get into and learn. You know what I'm saying?
Times are changing, man, thankfully, and they're changing pretty rapidly too, like really quickly. It's pretty amazing. I stopped smoking for like 2 years, and in that time frame is when it became legal in Massachusetts. And so it's weird because I had smoked for a long time before that, so I'd always smoke when it wasn't legal technically, and then it became legal, and I
think we all did.
Yeah. So, but I ended up having sleeping issues, and it was like the only thing that really, put me out. Always, like if I needed to sleep, I just smoke a little bit of indica.
What's your favorite blend?
Go right out.
Or strain?
Shit, that's a good question, man. I'd say the White Wedding at the moment. The White Wedding, it's like a really grapey profile to it. I love the grape flavors. Anything grape is one of my favorites.
Yes, I was going to like the
nice.
Not the grape, but the lemon. And when I look at the terpene profiles. Is it limonella or something? I know I'm not saying that right, but
I couldn't.
But
either,
it's the one that
you're
puts you to sleep. It's a very relaxing side of it. That's like the main part for the indica blend for me. And anything that has that I can do, and that's why I like OG Kush and like the Kushes. Those are good. I have a Confusion Kush right now. Oof.
Well, it's really funny because I was watching today's broadcast that came out. Mentioned how important the THC percentage is, and that actually caught me by surprise because that's a really good point, because the THC percent isn't the only thing that gets you stoned. First of all, of feeling good, plus like you could have like a 13% THC flower, but it could have like the best flavor, terpenes, and profiles that could be the most enjoyable smoke you've ever had, and you just pass it off just because you see a number, which is really unfortunate. I think people are getting a little too spoiled when they look at that they hyper focus on the THC.
I did for a while.
In my opinion.
Good.
What it does for. Oh, I was just going to say I tend to hyper focus on it myself, but I think it's because I have some asthma and shit, bro. So I look at it, maybe I'm looking at it wrong. I look at it like I want the higher THC so I can get what I want faster and not have to smoke as much. And
Right.
I don't know if that's how that plays out. I'm stupid when it comes to the terpenes and all that stuff, bro. I haven't researched that probably like I should have.
Well, a lot of it's like you could get mellowing effects from just CBD, right? From the cannabinol. So you could have like a low THC percent, but a really high CBD percent that's like really good for your anxiety and stuff like that. So there's more things to look into it in terms of it, which is honestly one of the cool parts about the dispensaries is how everything's tested. So like if you want to know what's in it, you look right on the box and you see what's in it. It's kind of like a peace of mind thing, right? When you go to get weed at the dispensary, you know it's clean, you know it's been tested. It's not like a
That's the coolest
question.
thing with going to
Right,
dispensaries. Like
right.
I used a lot of carts before I got legal because they were just inconspicuous. I could use them, and even though I wasn't legal at the point, I could get the medicine I needed. I'm scared to think about what all the
Right.
stuff I took in from when I was taking those. Like for real, my goodness, I don't know what they were
Oh,
cutting them with. I know that they were getting these carts out of California and then cut them at least in half, if not more than that. So, God,
mhm.
I'm glad I got past all that. Like I'm legal and getting the good stuff and things that I know that are not going to hurt me in the long run.
Right.
Mm.
A good example would be bud rot, which is essentially mold in the flower, which tends to happen when it wasn't dried correctly. The humidity would have been too high during the drying phase, and it's actually you're smoking mold when you got bud rot, and that's really common. That's when you break it open and you see that black shit inside, and it kind of crumbles to powder. Well, that's
Yeah.
mold. Back in the day, we used to think it was just shit weed and spent money on it. You know what I mean? So it was getting consumed one way. Now we don't have to worry about that, but you're not getting blood rot at the dispensary. You know, you're
Yeah, I
not gonna
had
be
some.
mold.
I saw a deal. I saw a deal earlier, or I was watching a deal, and they were talking about with the mold stuff. There's some kind of almost like a white mold, where if you don't look close enough or under a microscope or whatever, that it looks almost like just real good sticky bud, but it's actually some form of a white mold, and people will just smoke that shit all the time and not even know.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy. I actually saw the other day a guy posted a picture of bud rot where it looked like they have a bug, spider mites, and what they do is they web like a spider web around your plants, and this form of bud rot was actually the guy had caught it so early on that the mold was still white and it looked like that webbing. So it was really interesting to see, like the bud rot in the early phase almost looked like a spider web. There's all kinds of shit that can go wrong, to be honest, when you're growing. And some people are careless. You know, they don't really care. They don't know what they're doing, to be honest, and they're selling it off
People like
to other
Bosch, and honestly, probably people like us. Like honestly, like we're both me and Bosch are both like I'd say entrepreneurial, and we want to succeed in our life, and we're going to try every means possible. So like even this, like I just knew that I had a good we had something to say, and that's why we're here. Like we're figuring this out as we
right.
go. Like I found the podcast, where to record it, and I've never edited anything in my life, so I get it. Like I'm
Yeah.
bro.
That,
Oh,
get your hands
they're
dirty.
definitely dirty. So I get it. Um, I guess that
Mm.
leads to my first question, and I guess I think we just answered it honestly. Like, why did you get into growing? Like, why grow rather than go get the easy stuff?
To be honest, I was kind of looking for a new hobby. You know, with the way things have been with the COVID lockdowns and everything like that, it was just like I was kind of getting bored at home. You know what I mean? I needed something to do to kind of keep me busy, and on top of that, you know, you go to the dispensary and it's so expensive. You can save a lot of money growing and smoking your own. Plus, it's really enjoyable to do. It's really fun. Like every day you see the progress from the
So
day
yeah, the day
before.
it's funny you say that during COVID you needed a hobby. I started gardening too.
Mm.
Just not the same thing. I was making
Yeah.
green beans. You were making lovely green.
Well, a lot of people are making
Boy, I'm
babies,
so
you know.
happy to have got past
Mm-hmm.
that. Like,
But even vegetables and fruits and stuff to go out in your garden and you know tend to your garden and then eat your own fruit and vegetables. You know,
well, I
it's
agree, dude.
better
It's
than
amazing that
store-bought.
eating the
Hell
stuff
yeah,
that I made and
absolutely.
being able to like take it to someone and say, "Hey, here's the thing, green beans for your family, whatever. Go ahead."
Right? Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
What about what would you say, like, as far as when you first started getting into it and things like that? Like, did you notice, are there certain, like, for somebody like me, say if I'm wanting to go out and I'm just wanting to go somewhere or whatever and start looking at things on a budget, are there certain things like, say, like lighting or the tent or whatever that you would rather, like, starting out spend more money on and you could slack on other stuff? Or
The light is your top priority in terms of your budget. Everything
really?
else, yeah, the light is by far the most important
Why?
piece of equipment in a grow.
No
Everything
shit. Okay.
worked around one way or another, but the light is the most
So
valuable
what kind of lights are you
for
looking
sure.
for?
It depends on like what you set up and what you look like. My light's overkill. My light's too powerful for this setup, but I did that intentionally. My light's in a 4x4, but it can grow a 5x5. It's basically designed for a 5x5. So I'm planning on eventually getting a 5 foot by 5 foot tent and then using that for the veg tent and the 5x5 for the flower and putting that light in the other one. So it's all on, like, you got to kind of plan it out as to what you want. You know, do you want a closet grow? Do you just want to grow one plant? Do you want like an 8x8 and have like 8 plants in there? You know, you can have multiple lights. You can have one big light. It's there's so many different lights these days. The
So I'm going to
market's
jump around, and I'm
insane.
sorry about that, but you said something that tweaked my interest.
No, yeah.
You said about a vegetative state and a flowering state. What? Explain that. Like, what
hmm
is the differences in the two?
So for a photoperiod seed, which is your standard cannabis seed, what it is when the light cycle is on 18 hours on and 6 hours off. So you're basically giving it 18 hours of sunlight and then 6 hours of night. It's going to be in the vegetative stage, which is where it's not growing any flower. It's only getting bigger, essentially. So you can keep growing it in veg as long as you want or as short as you want. You can make it as big of a plant or as small of a plant. You can cut it in certain ways and bend it and have it grow in
Okay.
certain directions. So
Bro, I'm gonna have a fucking oak tree.
if it's getting too tall, you can tie those branches down. And this is what I like to do, because with the photo period seeds, you can keep it in veg. You can stress the plant out. You have time to stress that plant, so you can do whatever you want because you have time to recover. There's two types of stress. You got good stress and bad stress, right? Like a bad stress would be like you didn't water your plants enough. Then you've got good stresses, which is be like super cropping, which is where you would take the stem and you'd actually crush cells on the inside of the main stem, and that'll basically form a callus, and that stem will get stronger. And you'll see, like, after you do it, the branch will be like over like this, but in 2 days it's up and it's stronger than it's ever been. And what you did is you just opened up that stem, you made that highway bigger, so now more water and more nutrients can flow through it. On top of that, if you're growing big buds, that stem is going to eventually fall over if it's weak. Well, since you put that big strong knot in it, it's not going to fall over. It's going to hold that big bud. So there's all types of different techniques that you can do, from topping. I do mainlining, which is like the most extreme form of stress that you can do. I really I butcher my plants, bro, but it's for I do is, the way the cannabis plant works is it grows like a Christmas tree, right? So you've got that top, that main top you normally see, and then a lot of little shoots coming off of it. So what it is there's a hormone in the plant where the tallest point of the plant, right, always grows the highest. So if you were to take that top and bend it down to where an arm is above it, that arm will start growing more powerful than the top. It's a survival technique. So what you think about is, you think about that plant with a lot of bush around it, right? Any part of that plant that's high toward the light is going to fight to survive. So what you want to do is you want to manipulate that in the plant and keep all your tops even. So you constantly bend the plant, bend those
Shit.
arms down so that the grow up. Now you've got a row of even tops. And
Wow.
it's really interesting when you think about, like, it's science, but it's fun. You're making the plant grow how you want it to grow. You know, you're really putting your fingerprint on it, and that is where it's like, holy shit, dude, this is fun. You know what I mean?
Bro, that shit right there gives me chills, dude. Like that, just thinking about it,
I
like,
could do
dude,
that.
that is
I could
so
do that.
dope.
Absolutely, I could do
it's
that.
and like you're gonna fuck up and you're gonna fail and you're gonna make mistakes. You might put too much stress, you might cut too many leaves off. But like as long as you're learning, you know what I mean? Like that's the thing is like no one learns anything from being successful, right? So like anytime you make a mistake, as long as you figure out what caused that mistake so you don't make that same mistake in the future, that's a success in itself because you just learned something.
Yeah, that's hella cool, dude.
Going, but there's a lot of shit to learn, dude. There's so much involved, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, let me ask you this, bro. Like, what? Since you've started growing, or how long have you been growing now?
Since this past summer, I've been around and involved in growing, especially closet grows, for years and years and years. Guerrilla grows, a lot of closet grows, but I've been to whole houses that we set up. You know what I mean? So like, I've been around the block and I've seen how people do it. No one did it how I do it. Most people just kind of grew the plant back then. I don't even think mainlining was a thing like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it was ever done back then. But in terms of me growing on my own, like hands on, just me, I started this past summer outdoor. I had a blast, bro. The winter started coming, and I started getting scared. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, man, it's gonna be a long winter, dude. I'm not gonna be able to like, man. It's like I'm gonna miss these plants, bro. You know, it's like something to do every day. I'm not gonna have that anymore. And I started freaking out, bro. I was like, nah, I can't have that. Like, I can't go the whole winter without having these babies, bro. So I went and got the whole setup. But I was like, fuck this, dude. I'm
I
growing
don't blame you
indoor
at all.
this
Like
winter.
that's to me, that's the way to do it. Because how could you put that in a vegetative state if you need to do 18 hours and 6 hours of dark if you were doing it on the outside? Like you don't have the control, do you? Like honestly.
That's the daylight savings, bro. You know, like the harvest moon. Come like the end of September, early October, you start getting less hours of daylight. So it's actually a natural thing. What you're doing is you're kind of cycling it. So if you were to plant a seed early spring, it would be ready for harvest around October. You know, because of
I got you.
naturally. The thing is, when you have your own light, you control that light cycle. It's not the sun isn't stopping you, so you can keep that sun hour rotation, if that makes sense, as long as you like.
You're like that plant's god, bro.
Exactly, yo. You're the rain,
No
you're
shit.
everything.
When you're doing
yeah,
like
hell
the you said mainlining when you're pulling one down and then another one, that how
Well, that would be
say again?
low stress training.
Okay.
It's called low stress training. When you like,
Okay, so how often
down.
would you change them out? Like you said, you wanted to do them each, like you wanted them all to be the same level, like you were doing that. How often would you switch them out? Like if you want, like one day one, and then the next day another, and next day another, or
It depends on how fast the plant is growing. You kind of gotta like wing it at a certain point. Just every day, I'd say you want to check your plants at least once and just see how they look. So at least once a day, you want to take a look at them and see how they're doing. But in terms of retying, because what you do is when you tie it, the plant is horizontal, right? But eventually, wherever you tied it, let's say you tied it at my fingers, that top will start to come back up for the light. You know what I mean? And then it'll start to grow. So then you got to bend that back down and tie it again, if that makes sense. You got to constantly keep giving it as much tie down as you want. Is the thing. Like you can make it as wide as you want. You can grow it out tall if you want, if you've got the room for it. Typically, you want to make it more bushy though, because as soon as it goes into flower, it doubles in size. So you've only got so much to work with, and you got to keep into account that you have to keep the top of your flower a certain distance from your light. You know what I mean? You can't have your light right on that flower burning it. So you've got to constantly keep in mind, like, all right, I've got this much room to work with. These plants are getting kind of tall, but these are still short. So I've got to bend this one down in order to let those grow up, you know?
Bro, that's such a fucking art form, dude. That's wild.
You know what's funny is recently I started watching Bonsai
I was
Tree
just
Masters
thinking
on
that
YouTube. I
actually,
don't know.
dude. Seriously,
It's
I was gonna call you Mr. Miyagi.
awesome, bro, because you learn a lot from, like, their patience. You know what I mean? Like, they're very patient, they're very slow working and methodical. They do things with purpose, but they don't like rush. They're not snapping that shit like crazy. They're being gentle with it. So
Welcome to
it
my
kind of
40s. I'm
teaches
gonna
you
be
a
honest
lot.
with you. Like, as
That's
soon as I
pretty
turned like
cool.
40, they talk shit, like talk trash about people like in the like the midlife crisis, whatever. It's not that. It's I enjoy the process more doing things now that I've turned like older because I see more purpose in it now, and I see the
Hmm?
beauty in what you're actually doing. When I was younger, like young guys, they more
Right.
like they want to just get to it and fucking get it. And it's cool. I get it. That's genetics. That's the way
Yeah.
that the human brain works. For like older guys like us, like it's the process. I like Bosch will tell you, like running the bands and selling the weed like we did in the game before. Like that was a cool process, and and we enjoyed the parts of it that went to it. It's just really funny that it get that all part. It you being, I mean, how old are you? What are you like 12, 13 years old? Jesus.
31. I'm not that fine.
Sorry, man. I just don't see any gray, and it makes me think that you're a toddler. I don't know. It's just you know, say like that's just it's different, man.
I'm not. Yeah.
Dude, I'm eating these edibles. You can't get me
Fuck
laughing like
you.
that, bro.
Go watch that podcast I just put up today. You had me
It's
fucking
so
giggling.
funny, bro. So let me ask you this, man. Let me ask you this, Dan. Do you talk to your plants?
Nah, I don't. I'll play.
No, don't be tough now.
Come here,
No, I'm
Bessie.
just joking.
If I'm too aggressive, I'll apologize. But
Oh,
I'll
there you go.
conversation. Like if I hurt that thing, I'll be like, oh fuck, I'm sorry, you know. But I won't have
See, I
conversations.
play
They
I
don't
play
talk
reggae
back.
for him. Like I play
Right,
some
right.
good old Bob Marley soul. Like that, they gotta feel that far. That, you know what I'm saying? They gotta feel that.
Yeah.
I listen just as much for me as it is for them. I'm a big fan of music.
Do you smoke weed around your plants?
No, I try and keep that area as clean as possible.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I don't want anything sticky, nasty. I don't want anything dirty or no dust or nothing around it. As much as I can handle, at least.
Right. So yeah, it's all about contaminants and shit like that, huh? I
Yeah.
got you.
Plus, there's like no point really.
Yeah, and plus that's like cannibalism or some shit, I
Don't
think.
do it.
Plant just started wilting and crying right there,
I'll
bro.
cook for you.
Couple months.
Jesus.
Oh man. What's what's the worst thing you've run into yourself since you started growing as far as like a crop or whatever? Like some of the what's the worst issue you've run into in your growing experiences?
Fungus gnats. Definitely fungus gnats. I hate them. They're pain. They love the conditions that the soil loves. So
Okay.
and they can lay like 300 eggs. They attach them. Their larva will eat the roots of your plant. So when it's a big plant, it's not that big of a deal. It can handle itself. But when they're in the seedling stage, they'll actually kill your plants. So I had them kill a few of my seedlings, which is the whole reason why I've got one plant that's so big and the other three are a little bit shorter, because the fucking fungus gnats killed off a few of my plants. So I just started another run a little bit behind.
That's so sad.
Right.
That was plant. Fill the tent.
So how do they get in there? Or like is it something like is it brought in say by you or do you know?
They could come in the soil.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
soil. It's organic soil. It's coming from outdoors. There could be eggs in the soil already. There could be one fly that gets in the bag of soil when you bring it in the house. So I like a big rule of thumb that I don't see too many people follow or mention, to be honest, which surprises me, is that anything indoor stays indoor and anything outdoor stays outdoor. Like if you're gonna put a plant outdoors that you've had indoors, well, that's its home now, unless you want bugs, because bugs will get in that soil, they'll get on your plant, it'll be an issue. And especially if you got other indoor plants, whatever issue you're bringing inside is going to spread to them. So like anything you grow outdoors should stay outdoors because bugs will get at them.
Right. How like something like that, how do you go about is there a way to treat those? Like if you catch it soon enough to where you can, get rid of them, or how
Yeah,
would you go about that?
it's yellow sticky traps. So it's like basically like sticky fly traps that you lay on top of the soil because
Oh, okay.
they only stay in like the top inch of moist soil. So
Oh,
lay the egg, they need that top inch of soil to be moist for them to lay their eggs and survive. They feed on fungus, right? And they don't like cinnamon. Cinnamon's a really good. It smells nice too. So you get some ground cinnamon, and it's actually a natural fungicide too. It's a fungus gnat. They eat fungus. And cinnamon's a fungicide, so it kills the food that the gnats need to survive.
I figured it just choked them to death because I saw those kids on TikTok taking the spoonfuls and about dying. So I figured gnat size,
Little.
Bro, like this fight freaking out as soon as you put some cinnamon in there. But there's all kinds of neem max is like a water treatment to kill the eggs. If you're having trouble with fungus gnat eggs, neem max will work.
So as somebody who's never grown before, I want to go grow, right? I get my soil, I get my tent, I get all that. I just go to the faucet and give me some water and pour that shit in there.
Nah, so
Go, bitch.
actually, you probably don't have city water, right? You might have good water. So a lot of it's where you live. The soil likes a certain pH level, right? So what that is like it's parts per million. So you either got alkaline or you've got acidic. They like theirs a little acidic, the soil for cannabis. So you kind of want it anywhere between 6.0 to 7.0. Anywhere in that zone is what you want your pH to be. But as long as you don't have like city water, you should be all right. I use lemon juice. I got city water, so my shit's alkaline. It's like 8.5 or something crazy like that. So I use lemon juice to put a little acid in it. And another thing is if you're using tap, which is fine to use, you just want to leave it out for 24 hours because tap water naturally has chlorine in it. And chlorine can kill the ecosystem in your soil, basically.
Right.
So leave it out for 24 hours. It distills naturally. All that chlorine burns off.
Huh.
pH it, and you're good.
Nice. Sounds a lot like taking care of a damn fish tank, man. I had to do the same shit, control the pH and everything,
I aerate mine. I got an air pump, and I'm pumping
Yeah.
oxygen to the water. So there's basically just aerated water. It's just better for the soil. I figure if you're gonna leave it out for 24 hours, get a little air pump, bubble it up for 24 hours. Won't hurt.
Nick definitely can't hurt, I wouldn't think.
Right.
What is you say, like, have you ever, let me ask you this, like, off one plant, like one decent plant, or I don't know how you say you can make them bigger, so I guess you can kind of control how much yield you expect to get out of a plant?
Yep, exactly. So my outdoor run were autoflowers, and this is another interesting part, which is the opposite of photoperiods. So photoperiods, you control the time. Autoflowers start to flower after a certain time, no matter what. So typically, it's 2 months. So after 2 months, they'll start to flower, or some of them will even be ready in 2 months. Some of them veg for a month, really quick, and then they flower for a month and they're done. They're done in 2 months.
That's insane.
It's kind of crazy. So the problem with them is they can't handle any stress. Right, like how you can kind of beat these girls up a bit. You can't do that to the autoflower because it can't handle it. You're on a set time period and it'll start to flower no matter what. So if you put too much stress in it in veg, it'll stunt the growth for a week. And next thing you know, you're going to have a plant that's like this big.
You don't have the time to recover it, huh?
You can't let it recover.
Right.
So what was the most you ever got?
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
The
Out of a
most
single.
per plant? I'd say I got about an ounce off of a plant, off of my sour stomper. But those are autoflowers.
How do you, like after you get, because you're growing, what, 4 plants at a time, you said, or something like that?
At the moment, yeah. I grew 6 autos this summer.
So how do you, like, if you go through and say after you get done and everything and you've harvested and stuff, how do you store that much to make sure that it doesn't like mold or something at that point? You know what I'm saying?
Well, they've got packs, right? So what you want is I think it's 62% or 59%, something like that. But they got Brita humidity packs that you put in the container that you're storing it with.
Yeah.
what I do is I put a little humidifier, or like a humidity reader, I should say, in the jar. That way, like, all right, this is where it's at. And just in case the pack's lying or something, like if you want it at, it's at 50%. And then you just do what they call burping it. So like the first week, you're going to pop the jar open and leave it open for like 15 minutes and then close it. And you're just cycling the air inside the jar. And that's just
shit.
And as time goes on, you have to burp it less and less. And it'll get to a point where you really don't even have to anymore.
And it'll just stay good as long as you keep that level?
Yep, exactly.
No shit. Free plug for them, but Vibe back here, they've started here in Missouri anyway. They've got their containers now. Because in Missouri, if you go kind of off subject a little bit, but if you go to like the stores or the dispensaries, you can't actually, in most containers, you can't see the flower, right? It's just a bag with a label and shit. So Vibe has started, they've come out with these plastic containers where you can pop the lid and it's sealed, and it's got one of those little pH packs in there and shit where you can actually look at the flower and it keeps it, or not pH, but you know what I'm talking about. It keeps it right there at the correct level or whatever, and keeps it fresh and whatnot. So,
yeah, one of the dispensaries near me, it actually surprises me because they give you a glass jar every time. So if you get a gram, a little tiny glass jar. If you get an eighth, they give you like a medium one. And like, bro, that's like a lot of money they spend on glass, bro. To be honest, they hand that out every time. So,
well, I guess we've got illicit and shit here.
Just these and
this is. I'm not sure if I think plastic, but this is my wax.
Hold it for your eyes.
That's like dab.
Up a little more.
That looks thick.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I just about licked your camera.
Not gonna lie,
I did. You start seeing my fat head coming towards your camera with the Put it away. Sorry, I'm a little baked, bro. Oh man, yeah, dude, I'm loving it, man. This is fucking dope, dude.
How do you tell about?
I'm trying to think.
I got some.
million
Don't
questions.
worry.
I ate all these edibles.
Jesus, I'm stoned too. How do you tell the gender of your plants, man? Tell the gender of your plants. I keep, at least, trust me, I have a list of terms and things that I've heard over the years that I'm not going to ask you, but I got a whole list over here, trust me. Fuck yeah.
You want to see them? I can show you.
I want to see one. Hell yeah. Let's take a field trip, motherfucker. Hell yeah.
Hey, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and stop part 1 of our episode with our boy Kippa. Stay tuned. In a week from tonight, they're going to be coming out part 2. So be sure to tune in then. We love you so much. Kippa, thank you again for being here, brother. Hey, I got to see that pretty face, homie. God damn, you should have had a cam on, brother. Motherfucker, you'd have all them girls chasing you down on there. You'd be full-time streaming instead of growing
and streaming. Absolutely.
Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Dolph, I love you, homie, as always. And we'll see you in a week. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe below if you like our content. New episodes dropping every Friday. Stay tuned.